Hey everybody, welcome to another inductive Bible study. This one is on Mark chapter 13, verses 13 to 19. The text is on the right of the screen in the Olive Tree app, and my notes are on the left side using Evernote. I'm going to let you read the text yourself, and I'm going to summarize what I've discovered in this text and why it's so important, I feel, for community and what I've been trying to do as I lead a new thing called for community, and what it means to followership and how to grow from a follower to an agent. So here's what jumped out of the text to me. If you haven't read it yet, go ahead and give it a read and then come back to this video. Here's what I heard. Jesus called out the ones that he wanted to go with him. So he appointed the 12 apostles. That clearly just jumped out of the text to me, that Jesus hand-selected who his lead team was going to be, which actually corrects some misunderstandings I had of the text previously. So what does this mean? Right here. Jesus didn't start with the lead team. So initially I had thought that Jesus was starting with the lead team, but really it was his assessment process. He started with lead team assessment. So he looked around to people who were available to him that looked like they had the moxie, looked like they had the chops for what it is he was trying to accomplish. And he called them into his initial lead team, to his starter group, I guess. And then after that, he formalized their entry into the lead team. So the first and maybe the only thing I notice in this passage is Jesus' final choice for his lead team. I think that's what I'm noticing. After spending some time with the people that he had called, he chose his core team of people who would be his inner circle of public ministry, gospel, leadership peeps. Not really sure what to call that. I mean, the Bible calls it his apostles, his disciples, so we can go with that too. But this is his public ministry, gospel, leadership lead team. When finding people who would help him gain access to the crowds who needed to hear the gospel, Jesus called people who would give him accessibility. They weren't necessarily on his team yet. He brought them into his core team after he had the large crowds and after they had seen him work, and he had a chance to assess them too. So here's, of my notes, this is kind of what's popping out to me. So here's his lead team process, and this is why I wanted to make this video, and this is what's jumping out to me, and this is how it's going to affect for community in the time ahead. So the lead team process is this: find people who will quickly engage in followership. So they're early adopters, not late adopters. These people will also create access points for gospel communication to new crowds. I mean, if we track through the gospel, we see that what Jesus wanted is he wanted to continue to go to new crowds and share the gospel so that people would be able to receive him and begin to follow him. So he called people who would help him make that happen. So we see the disciples bringing Jesus sometimes out of the crowds and bringing him into new crowds, so that are fresh crowds, that where the culture of the crowds hadn't been turned yet, because there's no kingdom aggressors in there. And so he's these people that he's called give him access to new people. Now, of those engaged in followership and exercising kingdom agency, then I'm going to be asking to myself, who needs to be at the table? So we are hopefully you're going to be trying to start up a new community, like I'm trying to start up a new community for people who want to come closer to God and connect with Jesus and do this followership thing. We need to ask ourselves, who needs to be at the table? Who do I need on my lead team? So for example, during this COVID moment, which looks like it's going to be extended, I don't know how long, but for community is an online thing now. We now have people who are in Manitoba, in Ottawa, in Toronto. We're growing in all over the internet, so we're an online thing. Who needs to be at my table of leadership to access, to help all of those people from a wide variety of locations? Who needs to be on my team to help them move closer to Jesus and engage in this followership thing? And I think that that's going to be some people who are pretty savvy with online technology. Okay, so Jesus empowered these people. That's what he did. The 12 disciples that he's just calling in this text here. Kingdom agency includes the power and authority of God's kingdom. So these agents are going to move forward. These disciples are going to move forward on behalf of Jesus to exercise all that Jesus exercise is. As a kingdom agent, these people are going to be operating the same kind of agency that Jesus operates in, with his same authority. Here's what I was thinking about this. Don't fear kingdom clashing. Know that it's going to come, and know that God's kingdom has greater power and authority. There may be signs like casting out demons as a result of kingdom clashing while preaching the gospel. I notice a lot of kingdom clashing. There's the kingdom of Jesus, that's the kingdom of God, the system that Jesus is setting up in the world, and there's the kingdom of the world that's already here, the system of the world that's already here. And as Jesus is sharing the gospel and inviting people into his kingdom, there's always butting heads. The kingdom aggressors want to stop Jesus, lots of butting heads, and we see that. Don't be afraid of that. If you are stepping out into agency, and if you are interested in building a community of believers around you, well, a community of people who are not yet believers, and you're trying to inspire them to connect with Jesus, and you're doing the followership thing, then don't be afraid of kingdom clashing. It's just part of the deal. Casting out demons comes with the preaching of the gospel. It is a kingdom clashing. If demons are coming out, it's because the gospel is being preached and people are being released. I'm wondering at this point in the text how exclusive this calling is to this level of kingdom agency. It seems right now that these apostles are the beginning of a kingdom movement that continues to this day through more people than just the first 12. Like this text, just this passage right now, doesn't necessarily give you the sense that this is going to be extended to more people. Yet seeing how Jesus is moving, seeing what Jesus is doing, noticing the direction he's taking, how he's building the followership thing, as we've already seen two agents. We've seen John the Baptizer, and we've seen Jesus himself operating agency. There's a hint here that agency is going to be extended past these 12 disciples, but here it starts with the 12 disciples. What do I need to do? Okay, so just me personally, and if you're trying to build your own community where you're trying to reach out to people to bring them closer to Jesus, here I think this might be a good place for us to start. What do I need to do? What do you need to do? Start finding a crowd. That's what we need to do. Pray about I need to pray about where God is sending me, and I have, and I think I've heard several things about that. And then find a way to access some crowds and groups to communicate the gospel and test for receptivity. And I continue to do that all the time. As somebody who is trying to launch for community and trying to do a new thing in a new way, of connecting with people far from God and bringing them to God. I need to keep on finding new crowds, which is very different in this COVID moment that we're in right now, because I still haven't found a great way to connect with new people, a great way to make new friends online outside of joining a whole bunch of Facebook groups and just being friends with people and getting to know people. I've also been reaching out to people that I've had influence on over the years, but have not stuck with the church, and they've kind of drifted away. So I've begun to reach out to them as well, because there's already a relationship there. And I'm committing myself to failing. I can't. The experience that I need to gain comes through a lot of failures. One thing that I notice as I've been trying to build for community, what it is, I've noticed that I've come to recognize God's voice when he's telling me no. And God's voice, recognizing God's voice telling me no, helps me to more clearly hear God's voice when he's telling me yes. So all of the experimenting that I'm doing that's leading to no's, this isn't a good idea, don't go this way, it really highlights it when God says, yeah, do this. And yeah, I think that's suited to you. It's kind of, I got to embrace failure. If you want to start something new, you have to embrace failure. That's the moment that we're in right now. We don't know how to plant churches in a postmodern world effectively. We just don't know how to do it. Church planters or new venture people, whoever you consider yourself to be, we are the research and development department of the North American church. We need to embrace failure and experiment as much as we possibly can. I need to build a team. I still feel I need to build a team, and I'm not sure I'm doing great at it. I need to. I don't think I'm doing great at it at all. While I'm looking for crowds and testing for receptivity, I need to look for people who are quick to engage and pull them into the gospel communication part. And that's a pretty tough call. Like, I can't just release people into start and say, okay, start sharing the gospel, because Nobody's ready for that if they're far away from God. I do need to find a way, though, of helping them get engaged quickly. There's no sitting on the sidelines. There's no waiting to mature and then jumping in. I need to help people engage very quickly and step into their own strengths so that they can find a place in the community that we're building. And there's no sitting on the sidelines for community. I need a quick engagement like Jesus demonstrates in the gospel here. After they had some experience and knew the drill. This is me, looking at what I'm going to do with my lead team after the people that I've identified have some experience and they know the drill. I need to discern if they should be on the team or not. So that's what Jesus did. Call people in. He discerned if they should be on the team. Then he called 12 people that he thought, yeah, all you 12, including Judas Iscariot, by the way, all you 12 need to be on my lead team. Here's my quick summary. This passage reveals more about Jesus' lead team choosing and sending. That's it. That's the only thing. It really just stood out to me. This passage just stood out to me to how Jesus makes his lead team. So that's it from me for now. If you don't yet have a community that you're joining, that you have joined, and you're kind of drifting because of this COVID moment, how everybody went online, and you're not comfortable going back to a physical location, feel free to reach out for community. We'd love to have you part of our community. Also, if you're trying to start new work, if you're trying to be a planter, then reach out for community. And I'd love to see you grow. I'd love to see you thrive. And you can see all my mistakes, and we can kind of grow together, do this together if that's what you would like to do. For community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. That's it for now. See you later.